Welcome to Pink Kink,
where we talk about the pretty, twisted side of kink.
I'm Princess Rara.
And I'm Dara, the Electro Khaleesi.
Whether you are a new kinkster or have years of experience, Pink Kink will help you level up your kink knowledge.
Join us on this journey as we talk about our personal experiences and use the knowledge we've gained over 28 years of being involved in both private and professional aspects of this lifestyle to help you explore every facet of kink.
Get set for an adventure. Not only will you learn and grow, but we promise loads of laughter, turning each episode into a fun party. So fasten your seatbelt and let's get this show started. Pink Kink runs off the generosity of our devoted patrons.
As a patron, you will become a member of our special Discord server, receive some adorable Pink Kink stickers, as well as have access to a monthly behind-the-scenes podcast. Patrons also get discounts at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique, and our online classes at Pink Kink Institute.
In addition, our impactful and electrifying Pink Kinksters get special audio and video episodes. And finally, patrons at our highest tier will be recognized as producers, both here on the podcast and on our website.
If you would like to become a patron, you can visit us at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast or click the link at pinkkinkpodcast.com.
Today's episode is produced by our electrifying Pink Kinksters. Thank you, Jay, Witcherman, Brianna Lynn, Daddy J, Fabe, Embers, William P, Claire, Lady Blooding, Naughty and Nice, Butte Payne, Manda Panda, Kat, Stefan, Shadow Phoenix, Brian, Ruby Riot, Enchanted Sparrow, The Wombat, Impact Hazard, Twitch, The Midnight Girl, Sinful, J21, Daisy If You Do, AK Harley Chick, Violet Rain, Serenity, Belle, Eric, Lady Affliction, Pumpkin Pie, Ms. Tourmaline,
S'more, Hacksaw, Wee Mad Beastie, To Be Better For Me, 3 a.m. Thoughts, Crash Override, Iro, Kinky Bear, Sviper No Swiping, Barbie, Navigator Bard, Frost, Coffee and Chaos, Mr. Pillsbury, Stitch, Peaches, Mighty Owl, Princess Sassy Pants, Lady and Lex, Chaos Monster, Jessa Lady, DJ Harlow, Ophelia, Drew, Daddy's Pumpkin, Birchbeard, Lady to Kitten, Mongoose, City of Lemon, Daddy Dom Gav, Dismal, Noir, and Christopher.
I got to do wax last night.
Like demo or bottom for it?
Bottom for it.
Fun.
Well, the funny thing is so it's not that I don't like wax. I do. But wax isn't painful enough. The sensation isn't the sensation that I prefer. So it's not that I hate it or anything. It's just not something I typically do.
So what made you last night?
Well, because the demo top, who is such a sweetheart, such a love bug, had gotten a whole bunch of pink wax.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that he could do wax on me. And
yep.
As I said, I don't hate wax. It's not that I don't hate it. It's just, it's not my preferred method.
It's not your thing.
But he was such a sweetheart. And I know that he's going to be listening to this because he told me he listens to us. So I just want to say thank you so much. It was a lovely scene. I really had fun and I will absolutely do it again. And then I got to watch, because right next to the wax station is the needle station. So I got to watch Learning Curve do a very cool scene. And now I'm a little jelly because it's something.
No, you're waxy.
That's true. I'm waxy.
No, not jelly, waxy.
Or wait a minute. Am I waxing jealousy?
Wax on, wax off.
But they did this very cool scene where they put feathers into the needles and created.
Oh, they're like a bird.
Wings. Yeah, but then see, you would have loved that as long as you could see it from the front where you just see the feathers.
Yeah.
But then they would have lost you when. So the woman who bottomed for it, prior to that scene, she did a blood draw on her partner and put some blood in vials. And then they splashed that on the feathers to make
Excuse me, I'm gonna go puke.
Like I don't know, it's like an archangel, whatever the terminology is, but it was really very cool. And I ended up I stopped to watch it because we'd finished the wax scene. And then I ended up having to direct traffic because there were other people who were fascinated about it. And I had to make sure they stayed back. And then when she was getting up to go get the pictures taken, I was moving people out of the way because we always have to give somebody enough room when they've got needles in it. But now that we've added this extra,
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to make sure people were far away. And then I was answering their questions and stuff. But the thing that I'm jealous about is not the scene per se, because I've done that where I've had needles, feathers and needles. It was the clip that Learning Curve was putting the needle, the feather into, and then that little clip, whatever, went right into the hub of the needle, and there was no glue or anything needed. So I need to talk to Learning Curve and find out what that thing is, and then get some of all of that. And then Naughty and Nice, I got another scene for us. Just saying.
There's a lot of scenes planned for poor Naughty and Nice.
Yeah, I don't think she's complaining. When I last spoke to her, she was not complaining in the least bit.
Yeah, you're going to have to remind me to bring the extras that I don't normally bring to the next party.
But I had before the evening had even started, I sat down and had a lovely talk with Learning Curve about thing that they wanted to do versus with some blood, which I won't go into great detail about because
Thank you.
I'd like not to make Doris sick. Well, that's not true. That's a lie. I do like to do that to her, but I'm not going to this morning.
Appreciate it. Jesus.
But I did definitely tell her that I volunteer to be tribute for that one and help her out with that.
I appreciate the not going into detail part.
It's very exciting for me to run into people who have the same interests that I do because there's not a lot of us. We're not in the majority by any stretch of the imagination.
Sometimes it feels like you sure are, though.
Well, because that's who I'm surrounding myself with, so I don't have to censor myself, and they can be excited with me about these scenes. So yeah, it was a good night at the dungeon. I did get to yell at people twice though.
Ooh, that sounds like fun.
People who had their phones out.
No way.
All right, the first person was in the changing area. And I kind of did one of those. I noticed them, but they were sitting right by where I had placed my purse. So my first thought was, as I'm looking at them going, oh, I hope they're not knocking over my bag.
Uh-huh.
And then I went, wait a minute, what are they doing? And they had their cell phone out and they were texting. So I just walked right in and I'm like, excuse me, you cannot have that in here. This is no cell phone area. You need to go out to the lobby. And they were very apologetic and they were so sorry. But I was like, there's a sign literally in that room that says no cell phones.
You're right.
Now,
well, people don't look.
Right. And then meanwhile, though, while I was hosting, I had two of the people that I spoke to personally come back. And as they're walking past me, they looked at me and said, I'm going into the lobby to check my cell phone. I'm like, thank you. Thank you so much. But then when my shift was over and I was just wandering the dungeon, I stopped to talk to somebody. And I noticed a guy next to me, literally in the middle of the main play area with his phone out, just texting somebody.
No way.
Yeah.
That's blatant. That's just bullshit.
And what's interesting is, I immediately went over and I'm like, excuse me, you need to put that away. That is not allowed in here. No cell phones. So he goes, oh, I'm so sorry. And he put it away. I noticed he did have one of those red wristbands on, which meant he was a new person to the event.
Right.
Now I'm thinking I didn't talk to him because I remember the faces of the people I talked to. I said he either didn't pay attention or they did not put the fear of God into him when they told him, you cannot have that cell phone out.
Well, I mean, it's kind of duh. Like, I don't understand why people think that rules don't apply to them.
Right? I mean, I am happy, at least in both instances, these were not people taking pictures. They were just texting.
True. But what if you didn't notice and they took a picture and they were texting about that picture?
Exactly. So yeah, I got to be meanie last night and yell at people.
I'm sure that made you feel better, right?
It didn't suck. I couldn't. It was how I got my sadist out. So yeah.
Yay.
It was a very chill night, though. You missed a chill night.
There was no fucking way I was going to be able to do 2 events back to back. As intense as Risque normally is, Fet Ball is more so. And I just absolutely knew I'd barely be conscious today. And then having to do another event that's even more intense, there's no way.
Yeah, I guess it was Kinky Day, the Kinky meetup at the Ren Fair
Mhm.
yesterday. So I think a lot of people, after being outside all day, and it was warm yesterday, it was too much and they were tired because it was much, much quieter.
Well, I will be having a very intense night tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah, I will not because
Ooh.
I have dungeon hangover.
Look what I made.
Oh, pretty.
I made falls, and there's little like corset weavings in it and ribbons and red leather. And this is, well, hold on, let me find it. This is fake, but it's supposed to be latex.
There you go.
So, yay.
Yay, Dara's going to get all fancied up for tonight.
I'm wearing my red leather corset dress. I'm very excited.
Ooh.
And I'm thinking, since I went through that's the falls fucking took me 4 hours yesterday. So I'm thinking I might just wear the exact same outfit and hairstyle for the next 3 or 4 events that I'm doing.
Well, yeah.
I'm not changing it.
It's a lot of effort.
I have to get good use out of it.
So let's get into this week's episode. This week we're going back to a classic. It is. It's a classic, a tradition. What would you like to call it?
A tradition for when we're too tired to function.
Tradition that I can sing.
Oh,
tradition,
yeah. Knew that was
tradition,
coming. Mm-hmm.
Tradition. There you go. It's a requirement.
It
is.
is.
Come on. It's a requirement.
No, I agree. You had to do it.
I had to. I'm not that strong to have walked away from it. So what we are talking about this is I went through my Google alerts and found some interesting articles specifically about kink and BDSM. And we're going to discuss them with you and let you know what the world is doing and thinking about this lifestyle that they so do not understand.
Okay. So some of these articles, I was like, okay, cool. And then at least 2 of them, I went, you fucking what?
Yeah. But even the ones that were kind of cool, it's still the way they're written. They're obviously written by vanilla folks, which is not to say that's as an insult, but just to say that they're people who don't really understand.
Well, yeah, and it was very clear. And also, they don't edit these articles very well either.
Okay, well, these are not the top tier New York Times, Washington Post articles because
do you know how many spelling errors I found in these?
I don't check for spelling errors because I'm not reading that deeply into this.
Well, I wasn't either, but when I was taking notes and copy pasting some of the stuff, okay, I want to talk about this, it was automatically showing me spelling errors. And then I would look at it and I'm like, why are there 3 T's in this?
They really wanted to emphasize the t.
So apparently.
Did they hawk t?
Girl, you can't even say that correctly. What the hell? It's hawk tua.
Yeah, but I was trying to emphasize the t, not the tua. Yeah.
Sorry, Mike.
I was going to say, I have to clean poor Mike.
You'll clean my mouth after that one. That came out really spitty.
All right. You want to start our first article here?
Okay, sure. The first article, let me pull this back up because I lost it. There it is. All right. So it says, I'm a sex expert. This is how kink can improve your relationship and sex life.
All right. Was this one of those that you thought, yeah, that's pretty good, they know what they're talking about? Or one of those that you kind of went, huh?
No, actually, this is one of the ones that I went, they actually know what they're talking about.
Okay.
I was like, okay, so first, and I have a feeling Rara is going to have the exact opposite opinion because, well,
it's us.
Yeah. But so first thing that I noticed was it said that kink is often misrepresented in media. Yep. And I'm like, agree. Absolutely. And then it says, speaking about popular films that depict kink, the person they're quoting says, kink in mainstream media often neglects the plentiful nuance and negotiation that goes into kink, instead choosing to sensationalize it. 100% agree.
Yep.
This is what we like. How many episodes have we done now where we've mentioned stuff in media. Like we've done
I can't
books,
count that high.
We've done movies, we've done I guess not other podcasts, but we've done because mostly the podcasts are like, they know what they're talking about, but like documentaries and stuff too. For the most part, get it wrong.
Yep.
So, and I agree with this. It says choosing to sensationalize it and neglecting the nuance, 100% accurate. This article is like dead on about that.
Yeah, they talked about, and I thought this was perfection. They talked about that she felt they left consent out most of the time,
Mm-hmm.
which is part of that sensationalizing. It's so much more dramatic when you don't actually talk about consent,
Right.
and that it leads to people trying what they see in these movies and TV shows, and they try it, and it's unsafe.
Because they're not doing the basic, the beginning parts. They're
Right.
just going straight to the scene. Like, you can't do that.
No,
But-
and it also misrepresents us in the lifestyle because it's definitely making it look like what we are doing is abuse.
Oh, yes. And that was actually the other quote that I pulled. It says, what we're supposed to be seeing is something sexy and kinky, but what we're really seeing is glorified abuse. This isn't what kink is about. Kink is about boundaries, clear negotiation, and being 100% on board with everything. I have no notes on that. That's exactly what it shows. And the problem is, even if, so Rara, one of your favorite things to say is maybe in books, it happens in the background. And like we've talked to authors and they're like, okay, but here's the thing. It's really, really difficult to get that into a book because it's boring.
Right.
And I understand that. But once again, these are being taken as, what's the word I'm looking for here? Not gospel, but they're being taken as manuals.
Yes.
Like, this is what you do. And if they're being portrayed incorrectly because that part is boring, that's the dangerous part.
It's definitely something that I harped on when I taught at Smut Lovers. I'm like, whether you like it or not, your books are inspiring people and giving them ideas. So if you're going to inspire and give them ideas, let's give them ideas that will keep them safe.
Mm-hmm. And it's not difficult to throw in a little dialogue like, based on our previous negotiation, you agreed to this.
Right.
One sentence. You don't have to do the whole scene of negotiation. You can just throw it in there really, really simply.
Yes. So I mean, I thought it's interesting. They talked about like 20 to 30% of the UK population has actually engaged in kink.
In Kink?
Yeah.
Wait, which article is this? Because there was another article.
The same article.
Okay.
But again, I love that number. That's a high number. But as I was talking to people with last night, I've had guys reach out to me on dating apps going, "Oh, well, I'm kinky too." And I'm like, "Really? What do you like to do?" They're like, "I like anal sex and a little bit of spanking."
Yeah, that's not kinky.
And I'm usually responding with, "And I like to put 300 needles in my body." We're not the same.
In your boobs specifically.
Oh, no, I only put 250
Okay, but
in my
same,
boobs.
same thing.
Yeah, close though. I'm just like, that's one of the problems. We don't have any definitive definitions of anything that we do. So even impact, right? Impact means I hit you, but that we have such a spectrum. That could mean tap, tap on the butt. And then it could mean hitting with a spiked paddle and causing blood. All of that falls under impact.
Mm-hmm.
So because we don't have very specific definitions, anybody can say I'm kinky and mean totally different things. And not that it's not valid, right? You could be into little just spanky, and that's absolutely valid. Please no hate mail. It hurts my feelings. So it's so different. And I wish more people understood that. And I wish these experts, well, not the experts, these filmmakers and these writers also realize the nuance within kink too.
Well, it specifically said in the article, filmmakers should work directly with sex workers who specialize in kink to help them create better, more accurate representations. Fuck yes.
Yes, but here's my question. Sex workers who specialize in kink. That exact phrase. Why sex workers that specialize in kink versus kinksters?
Because they're lumping us into sex workers.
Exactly.
Which, so you and I have also had this discussion. Technically, we are. You and I who do it for, private sessions and stuff. Technically, according to the definition, we are sex workers, even though we don't have sex with clients.
No, we don't.
It's just in that category, according to,
But let's also be honest, when people not in the know hear the term sex workers.
Oh, yeah, no, they think we're having sex with clients, which we are not. I have never, ever.
Never.
Maybe that sentence should say kink educators.
I wish it had been, or just left it as wishes they worked with actual kinksters. Forget the word sex workers, just actual kinksters.
That would have been helpful.
If by some weird chance anybody on here is a filmmaker, knows a filmmaker, and they're looking for some experts,
we consult.
We are happy to consult.
Abso-fucking-lutely. Please, for the love of God, make sure you point them in our direction, because one, there is nothing we love better than educating people about this stuff. Like, we could do it forever. And two, I want to say that I can put that on my kinky resume. That sounds like fucking good time.
One of the fun things when I give my little hostess speech at Risque, I always tell them you can ask the demo tops questions about what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say they're happy to answer your questions, because there's nothing kinksters love more than talking about their kinks.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Absolutely. Okay. So there was a question that came up the other day for you guys know that I write on the side, but one of the writing option question things, daily whatevers, was, you have been kidnapped. What can you talk about for an extended period of time that will annoy the kidnapper so much that they will give you back?
Kink.
Yeah, kink. And it doesn't even matter. It doesn't have to specifically be electro. For me, just kink in general, I could probably talk about it for 6 to 10 hours.
I could talk about sharps alone, and that probably will get me out very quickly.
Just don't give them any ideas, because remember, you're kidnapped.
When they realize I'm not afraid of blood or the threats.
Or the pain. I mean, if you're kidnapped, it's probably non-consensual pain, but
still.
Yeah. Rara will scare them off. She'll just
they'll be like, no. We're returning you now. We're going back no more. Don't talk to me about blood play anymore.
Goodbye. Especially when you say, and I like to top for it too. So if you guys are interested.
I could tell them the story about the butterfly.
Oh, that'll freak them out. You'll be dumped out at the next exit.
I told somebody that story last night, and now she is desperate for an invitation to my next blood play party. So I told her I would.
All right. Hey, do you see who just showed up in the corner of my screen?
Did. I saw a little face just peeking up at me, but she's obviously still half asleep, because she's looking around like, what's happening here?
Well, yeah,
I don't know what's going on.
That's her normal face. So, but she just had a really good snack, I think. So,
she's a sweetie.
Yeah, she's my good baby. Anyway, obviously, Robert and I are not together right now because things.
Because it's so far away.
You don't even drive when we record. It's me.
Yeah, but I have to walk all the way outside to give you the parking tag so you could park. It's so far away.
And then all the way down to the basement.
Look, I drove all the way out to where you live, and it was not a good time. I did not have fun. You ever had those days, people, where just if it can go wrong, it does go wrong?
Well, let's tell them the story, because you didn't technically drive to where I live.
No. All right. Well, let me just start earlier in the day, where I proceeded to drop my glass storage container that had my lunch in it on the floor and watched it shatter. So there went my beautiful glass container, and my lunch.
So wait, was this before you even got to work, or was this at work?
This was at work.
Oops.
Would have been easier if it was at home, because then I could have just substituted a different lunch. So I ended up having to DoorDash lunch, but I did, on the positive side, find a really good Thai food place. So I was happy about that. But Dar and I were meeting up to go to a friend's house. He's going to be hosting a party this weekend. Dar and I are going to be demo tops at the party, and he wanted us to come over, see the space, and figure out where best to set the two of us up. It's a brand new space and we hadn't seen it yet. So it was all the way out by Dara. So I said, hey, Dara, I'll come to you. And then together we can go to our friend's house. She's like, cool, that's easy. So I had originally put into my GPS my friend's house location. I thought I had changed it to Dara's house. And I'm driving and it's taking me like 50 minutes to get there. And I'm looking around going, all right, I recognize this because I was all the way over by a place I'd been to before. But I'm like, but this is not where Dara's house is. And then I thought, okay, well, I was using Waze, not GPS actually. I thought maybe Waze was just taking me a weird way because of traffic, because there was so much traffic. And then all of a sudden, I'm like 2 minutes away from my destination. And I'm like, I am fucking nowhere near Dara. So I pull over to the side of the road.
You were in a different town entirely.
Yeah. I pull over to the side of the road and I look and I realize that apparently GPS had still taken me to the friend's house. So I call Dara and I'm like, hey, so you know how I said I was 5 minutes away from you?
And Dara was waiting outside at this point.
I'm actually 5 minutes away from our friend's house, not you. I'm so sorry. I fucked up. So Dara's like, fine, I'm getting in the car and I'll just meet you there. I said, cool. So I'm waiting because she said she was going to be like 20 minutes. So I figured I would just stay here. I don't want to get there too early. And then like 15 minutes later, she calls. She goes, I'm here. Where are you? I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I was waiting. I thought it was going to take you longer. I was waiting. I'm heading there now. So she's on the phone with me while I'm driving. And I said, okay, I'm like, where is this thing exactly? She goes, well, just turn the first left. And I turned the first left. I'm like, okay, this isn't a house. I'm like in an apartment complex. What's going on? Apparently, it was really important that the word sandalwood was 2 words and not 1.
Yep.
Because there's sandalwood, 1 word for an address, and sandalwood 2. So now I had to fix my GPS again to a different address with actual sandalwood being 2 words. And
well, also 1 was lane and 1 was drive.
Right. Now because you know what, have you ever start to put the numbers in and Waze does this. I don't remember if GPS does this. You put it in and it suggests, it's like, are you looking for this?
Mm-hmm.
So I blame Waze because I went, yes, I'm looking for that. I didn't even pay attention to the details.
I also used Waze to get there, by the way.
Yeah. Well, you also knew it was in historic district, which I did not because I don't live in that area. So I didn't even know a historic district existed.
So anyway.
Then I was like 15 minutes out and I had to drive there. But I found it.
You found it eventually.
Eventually. But that was what my day was like. So I forgot why we were even telling the story. But anyway, let's go to article number 2.
Rara's no good, very bad day.
Horrible day. Yeah.
Horrible day.
So our second article is about an upcoming film.
We need to go and watch this, by the way. We need to review this one.
Well, so Nicole Kidman stars in this, they're calling it a provocative BDSM thriller, Baby Girl. I watched the trailer.
So did I.
And I already have concerns.
Me too.
So the premise,
I still want to watch it.
The premise is that Nicole Kidman is married. She has children.
She's married to Antonio Banderas. I need to go see this movie.
Right?
I don't give a shit. It's Antonio Banderas.
She has children and she's a high-powered business. I assume, I don't know if
I think she's some sort of CEO.
CEO, right? And obviously, because she meets a younger man.
Who looks like a baby, by the way, in the trailer.
Well, her plastic surgery has not gone well for her.
Oh, no, I did notice that. Jesus Christ. It looks...
I don't know if it's too much Botox or bad.
Do you want to know what was really funny about that? They're in the trailer, there's a scene where she gets Botox.
Mm-hmm. So this younger, who turns out to, I don't know if he's an intern, becomes an intern at her company, or just a new associate. But he's a dominant, and he starts dominating her. So let's start with the fact that she's cheating on her husband.
Without him knowing, so it's not like it's an open marriage or anything.
No, she's absolutely cheating. This so-called dom, and I say it that way because maybe it's just in the trailer and in the movie we'll see it differently. But as we talked about in the last article, where was the negotiations? Where was the consent in
Well,
that?
hopefully you'll see it in the movie. They couldn't put that in the trailer itself. Clearly.
Right? They also apparently he's pushing her boundaries. But again, and this is a pet peeve of mine. I'm all for doms pushing their submissives' boundaries if the submissive has asked them to. I don't believe it is the dom's choice as to whether boundaries get pushed or not.
I agree.
Right? Because again, consent, people, it's a thing. Try it. So I just in the article they talked about the film has opened up dialogue around female sexuality and educating viewers. And I do like the discussion around female sexuality because I still feel, even as far as we've come, we still have so much further to go
Absolutely.
in this concept that women are sexual beings who, oh, I don't know, enjoy sex, want sex, need sex, seek it out. It's right. So we always talk about like a man who's had a lot of partners. He's a stud, and a woman who's had a lot of partners is a slut.
Mm-hmm.
Which always is interesting because what partners did this man have?
I just have a question. If a woman who has a lot of partners has a stretched out vagina, then how come a man who's had a lot of partners doesn't have like a worn down penis?
Yeah. And for those who wondered, science says no, the vagina does not stretch out from a lot of sex. It's a muscle. It constricts people. We can put an entire being through that part of our body and then it goes back. It's
Exactly.
elastic. Come on.
Besides, if you have a shit ton of sex with one partner, wouldn't that kind of do the same thing?
Right. It's ridiculous. And what happens if all the people you've had sex with are small dicked people?
Oh, then I feel bad for you, but still.
Then it doesn't stretch out that much.
It's just stupid. It's stupid.
Women can be fisted and it goes back into shape. I mean, come on.
I had to explain to somebody the other day about the hymen myth.
Oh, yes.
At work, I was like, hold on a minute, guy. That's not a thing. Actually, I think it was a girl that I was talking to, but yeah.
It's men don't understand women's sexuality and they don't seem to want to.
No, what's sad is women don't understand it
Yeah.
either because we've literally been told this is how it is. And then what, are you not supposed to believe that?
There's a lady on social media who does posts called, "And this is why we need more sex education."
I'm legitimately considering getting, what is it, like a $500 class or something, and you get sex ed certified?
It's like a $5,000 program.
Oh, never mind.
Because I looked into it. It's a $5,000 program.
Maybe not.
Maybe not so much. Yeah. So I appreciate anything that's going to make us stop and talk about it. I like the idea of showcasing how somebody who is a kick-ass, in-charge CEO could want to have those moments.
Well, so
not being in charge.
That was okay. So that's the part that I agreed with because that's how I feel.
Yeah.
That is the reason that I come home in little. So the quote here said, "A high-powered woman just wants to be told what to do in the bedroom." And I'm like, that is absolutely fucking relatable. And it's not just women that do that, by the way. It's men too. So we're actually literally anybody in a high-powered position can very easily just want to have nothing to do with that anymore once they come home and they can breathe and be themselves.
I got into a semi-kerfuffle on Instagram yesterday.
I heard.
And it's somebody I've gotten into a kerfuffle with before. This person and I will never agree on anything because I won't say it. I'm trying to make the face that Kamala made before she said the nice thing.
This former president
person on Instagram. I had made a post that said, for me, the hardest thing about being a dominant is the weight of the responsibility for another human being.
Yeah.
And this person decided to say that they thought that they disagreed with me because that's just a caretaker. And that the hardest thing about being a dominant is actually being dominant, which that alone made me laugh because actually, not for me. I'm so sorry. Being dominant is super simple. I have to it's much harder for me to pull it back and not tell people what to do.
Yeah.
right? That's harder.
You
But
don't do it that often, so you've had a
no.
lot of, not very much practice.
because it's really hard. But his thing was people don't always want to be taken care of. A lot of submissives are fully functioning adults.
No shit.
And I wrote back, I said, actually, pretty much every submissive I know is a fully functioning adult. Doesn't mean they don't want to be taken care of sometimes. I said, there are people in high-powered jobs who sometimes just want a break.
Hi, hello, it's me.
And then he talked about, well, not everybody's broken. Well, first of all, I don't ever.
Whoa. What?
And I said, first of all, I don't think anybody's broken. I think sometimes we're going through really tough times and we're struggling really, really hard. But I personally don't like to refer to people as broken because it's not my job to fix somebody. I can be there to give them support and help them in whatever way they want. But even if they're my submissive, it's not my job to fix them.
Also, was he actually calling submissives broken?
He was saying that that I thought they were because I wanted to take care of them.
What the fuck is why? Why would that make why does that equal broken? Period.
Well, and I also said to him, I go, if you don't take care of your toys, they break and then you can't play with them anymore.
Yeah, that's one of our favorite quotes.
That's from my friend Rogue Pet. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Her husband says it all the time. So it's like, I'm going to take care of my toys, even in vanilla relationships that have zero DS. Do the partners not take care of each other?
Yeah, that's kind of like standard in relationship.
And then he also apparently was bothered by my statement that I want to make my submissive be the best version of themselves they could be.
I don't understand the problem with that.
Well, here's the thing. When you look at a healthy relationship, forget dynamic, a healthy relationship, they bring out the best in each other.
Yes, that's literally what it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to tear your partner down.
So why is the fact that I want to bring out the best in you and I want to make you the very best version of you can be? Where is this a bad thing? And where is this somehow not equal to being a dominant? Because that was the other thing. He said I'm a caretaker, not a dominant. That the two are completely different things. And even though he knows that the community has put the two together, he thinks the community is wrong.
Well, he's an idiot because seriously, it's good Lord. Being a dominant does not mean that you just tear somebody down all the time. It's the same thing as when you and I talk about the difference between femdom and female dominant.
Mm-hmm.
You're still a dominant. You're just doing it slightly differently. You have different ways of doing things, and that's completely allowed. Where do people get off saying that there's only one way to do something and it's their way?
Well,
You don't do that.
Thank you.
I was waiting for you to go. It's just because you always say they're wrong.
Well, they are, but that's just between you and me. It's not like I'm telling it to their face.
Unless they listen to the podcast.
This is a safe zone.
Uh-huh.
What's said in Pink Kink stays in Pink Kink.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Because of all the thousands of listeners.
It's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, you keep thinking that. It's okay.
But he goes, sometimes you're just the dominant. And I try to get him, could you explain what that means? And in typical fashion of people who talk without thinking, he could not. And he just ignored the question. Oh my God, you know what I should have asked him? Do you have a concept of what it means?
Do you have concepts of dominance?
Oh, I should have.
Oh, God. Yeah.
God, I hate when you come up with the best lines after the fact.
Well, you know what that means now? We have to add that to our coloring book, our Pink Kink terminology coloring book, Concepts of Dominance. And there was another one from the episode that I was recording, editing yesterday, and I forgot to write it down.
Oh, no.
So now you have to find it.
Oh, is in the one that's coming out next week?
Yes, the one that I
Okay.
just sent you yesterday. It's
All
in
right.
there.
I'm only halfway through, so I'll have to wait for it to
I
come up.
don't remember where the fuck it is. I
Okay.
just remember going, I should have written that down, and now I don't know where it is.
Yeah. But so anyway, that's all I have to say about that matter. This person was
Stupid.
okay, you said it, not me.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna because they're stupid.
Yeah. All right, your turn.
Okay. Wow, we are really not doing good about sticking to the actual subject, are we?
We're trying.
We never do.
We're really trying.
Okay. Let's see.
Think of this as like the junk drawer of episodes
I dig
where
it.
you just throw everything in.
Oh, that's what you should call it, junk drawer.
We could probably just do an entire episode called the junk drawer.
Honestly, yes. I was thinking about that the other day because of all the tangents that we go on. We could literally just do an episode of our recent times at the dungeon or parties or something, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 events all in a row. 2 of them on the same weekend that are dungeon related, including my first time actually doing play in my house at a littles party.
Oh, you're turning into me.
Apparently.
I have a break. I have well, that's not true because I don't have a break until 2 weeks, and I started back in August.
Okay, see, we should just do like a dungeon junk drawer episode where we just talk about all the ones that we've done in the last like month or two, because it's a lot.
Okay.
Combined?
Yeah.
And let's face it, 4 in a row, 2 in the same weekend is fucking nuts for me.
For you.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
That's standard for me.
Right.
We can have for next week, because next week's party, I'm sure we will have stories galore.
So many. That's what I'm saying. And that's the one that we're going to together.
And we're doing a scene together where we're co-topping somebody.
Okay,
something
so
new. So I'm not going to say any more than that.
After next risque, because that's when mine ends. Oh my God, no, wait a minute. I've got like 5 in a row. Holy shit. After that, we'll do this episode.
That means we're going to have to somehow not give anything away. All right, we'll try.
Yeah, we're going to have to not talk about any, because aren't we recording one more? Wait, when's?
Next week.
Next week? Fuck.
Right?
Okay, yeah, we'll figure it out. But I still think we should do that because that sounds like really a lot of fun.
Sorry. 2 weeks.
Okay, we'll just hold it.
Okay.
We can hold it for that long, 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Barbara's going to pee her pants again.
I'll try. Yeah.
Okay, anyway, this one, a psychologist shares 3 tips to safely explore extreme sexual kinks. This is the one that I thought was one of the stupidest articles that you sent. This is where, for me, it went downhill.
I'm so sorry. It was stupid.
It was stupid because it didn't actually give any information that was new. It just reiterated everything that we've already said multiple times. So anyway, this one, okay, so it started out with, let me see if I can say this right. Autoassasinophilia. That was not correct. I don't even think this is spelled correctly. But anyway, for example, is a sexual kink in which a person is aroused by the thought of being in a life-threatening situation. For some, this means staging scenarios where a couple pretends to be unsafe to gain satisfaction. However, one study in Sexuality and Culture, which sounds like a great magazine article, whatever, shows that when taken to the extreme, this particular kink can be hazardous. Duh. What?
I wrote down I typed it in sarcasm. I loved this statement.
Yeah, I don't believe you. Like fucking duh.
I'll show you. That's what it says.
No.
No, I'm saying I said I typed it in sarcasm.
Got you.
I loved this statement. That was my sarcastic.
Oh my God. Fucking duh. It can be hazardous. Oh my God. So can every single fucking kink.
Okay, this is what drove me nuts because the word
Oh, so you agree with me? This was a stupid ass article?
The word safely.
Yes. I think more safe. Less dangerous, but not safely.
I usually tend to use the word safer.
Yeah.
But this is the whole point of why we talk about risk aware. There is absolutely fucking nothing that we do in kink that doesn't have risks. That's why I and many others have stopped using safe, sane, and consensual, because we don't want anybody to think that anything we do is safe. But if you are telling me that you you are aroused for being in life-threatening situations, do not fucking tell me that this is safe by any stretch of the imagination.
The word itself, life-threatening, literally means it's not safe. You can't make that safe.
You cannot. Did you read? They said they discussed a case, and this is exactly what we're talking about. They had a planned kidnapping.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is an absolute thing. If you ever go to like some of the kinky camps.
Oh yeah, they do it all the time.
I know they have them on the East Coast. I assume maybe they have them on the West Coast. It is, you sign up for a kinky kidnapping scene. And I've had friends who've both participated as a kidnappee, but friends who have facilitated it. They were the ones in charge who got all the boundaries and limits from the kidnappee, and then set things up with the kidnappers to make sure they stayed within the boundaries and stuff.
Is this one of those ones where you can set it up so that you're like entirely too annoying and then without talking about kink wouldn't work in this case, because then everybody would just sit down in front of a fire and be like, all right, now tell us more.
Right. Yeah, it wouldn't work here. But this couple, apparently this group, they set up a case where it was a planned kidnapping. And they were doing such an amazingly good job of the scene.
It was so convincing
that a passerby saw it and thought it was a real kidnapping and called the cops.
I feel like maybe you shouldn't do that in public. Like at camp, that's fine. Everybody there will understand that it's kink. Like we'll just look at it and be like, oh, kinky kidnapping scene. Cool.
I mean, we talk a lot about not kinking in public. This was obviously done in a public area where somebody could see you. And this is one of the reasons we say don't kink in public.
Yeah, okay. And then this, okay. So it says, the study cautions that sexual appetites that push boundaries can also blur the lines of consent. Again, duh? Like, what? Okay, and this was my favorite part. Did you see this part?
Which one?
The case between a man and a woman in which the man had joked about grabbing the woman's genital area in public, an act controversially nicknamed trumping.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God. That's disgusting and funny at the same time.
Sad. Very, very sad.
So it says to prioritize safe sex, be strict about consent, and make informed decisions. Again, with the duh.
Oh my God. What does this have to do with kink? This is sex. And vanillas should be practicing safe sex, be strict about consent, and make informed decisions.
Yes. Again, I feel like a 90s teenager. Duh. Wait, I was a 90s teenager, so that makes total sense.
This whole article oversimplified everything.
It didn't give any actual real information. It was awful.
Sorry.
I blame you.
Well, I picked the article, so you kind of have to.
Yeah. Well, no, I blame the person that wrote it in the first place. Like, way to go, dumbass.
All right, the next one. This one was an interesting one, too.
Mm-hmm.
I picked it because of the headline.
Very sensationalized.
Sexual strangulation has become popular, but that doesn't mean it's wanted.
Yeah.
And now this was an article from Durham University, and it was on their website under their research and business section.
They have some very interesting ideas about what is researchable.
Then they actually interviewed Dr. Hannah Bose, who's from their law school, who states that despite its increased popularity, strangulation research shows that it isn't necessarily wanted, especially by women.
So the popularity is among men who want to strangle women. Good, great. Let's all just be aware of that.
Right? And then it goes on to talk about how choking has become more mainstream, which I absolutely agree. the amount of things that I see on like TikTok and Instagram where they're glorifying it,
It's actually kind of sick.
right? But people also are equating anything having to do with any type of breath play as strangulation,
Which it is not. There's very, very
right?
different.
So strangulation, breath play is actually the umbrella term that strangulation would fall under. But if you just put your hands around someone's neck, but you're not trying to choke them, that's still considered breath play.
Well, and then there's what's the one where you put it on the side and it cuts off the blood
choking,
circulation,
blood
but not the
choking.
air? Yeah, blood choking. That's under breath play, but it is not actually asphyxiation or strangulation. Is it asphyxiation? I don't know. This is not my area of expertise at all. I just don't like the fact that this has become so unbelievably popular. Like, did you read the stats on this thing?
Yeah. Well, what I thought was interesting is then they said in the article that it's become so normalized that many people don't even consider it to be a form of rough or violent sex.
Oh my God, it so is.
And I'm thinking, are those people you talk to stupid? Like,
I don't understand how you can not think that.
Right?
Most considered hair pulling, being pinned down, biting, and being tied up and slapping as rough sexual behavior. And to me, no, it's not. How do you think that choking somebody is not rough, but being pinned down, tied up, and a little slap is not rough or is rough?
What really bothered me is that they're talking about this quote unquote strangulation not being wanted. Well, guess what that's called, folks? That's actual abuse, not BDSM.
That's assault.
And I really didn't appreciate this idea of equating completely non-consensual abusive acts with BDSM.
And it literally says not wanted. That makes it not BDSM immediately.
Yeah, it's non-consensual. We call that abuse. We call that assault.
Assault. That is literally not BDSM.
And so that's part of the problem. And like going way back to I think it was the first article where we talked about what's put out there in the media and in movies and books and television
and apparently
shows.
In the news.
This is the problem. They are taking things that abso-fucking-lutely are abusive and then claiming it's part of BDSM because we in BDSM do that.
Yeah. Do you ever see those articles where it's like child is non-consensually or didn't want blah, blah, blah. And then somebody says, fixed it for you, child abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Or something like that. Or woman claims she didn't want blah, blah, blah. Okay, rape. We fixed it for you.
Yeah.
Like, stop using these mamby-pamby little words that don't actually say what really happened. Stop trying to give us a little low dose of all of this. This is not what happened. It was fucking assault.
Yeah. Moxie Rose from TikTok did a whole thing about stop calling it non-consensual sex. There's no such thing as non-consensual sex. That's called rape.
Exactly.
End of story. And so that's what really bothered me about this article, this idea of somehow taking, do people in BDSM do it? Yes.
But
that
once
doesn't
again,
mean that it's always BDSM.
Going back to that first article, there even if you don't see it, there was probably a huge amount of negotiation beforehand, especially for something as dangerous as breath play.
All right. This next one kind of made me laugh.
Okay. You want to do it?
Oh, so sad I just did the last one.
Oh, I didn't I fucking forgot because we went off on it. Let's see. Disturbing trait. Oh God, this one. Disturbing trait you may inherit from your parents, but are probably not brave enough to ask them. Fuck no. Fuck no. Who's going to ask them? Who's going to ask them?
Listen, the amount of people I've run into now, I know at least 5 or 6 people who either they and their parent are kinky and go to events, or they and their child are kinky and go to events.
Yeah. I get all that, but I'm not good. But I don't go to events with my parents, and I am not going to straight up say, "Hey, Dad, you know, I have an electricity fetish, and I'm also a little. How are you and Mom with that? You guys do that? Is Mom your little?" Now, my dad, on the other hand, is a big joker and likes to mess around and like fuck with my head a little bit, so I can kind of see it. He once took a cheese board and pretended to slap my mom's ass with it while she was like prepping dinner or something when we were over. And he made this face, and Robert, I will show it to you, but I don't even know how to describe this. It was like,
Okay,
I-
weird.
yeah, I don't know how to describe that face so that people know what I'm talking about, but it was like demonic clown. I don't know.
It was so this article was really stretching to try to explain because I understand people want to try to understand why we are the way we are.
Mm-hmm.
So, like they talked about people who may have sensitive nipples might be drawn to nipple play. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Okay, but other people that have sensitive nipples may not be drawn to it because they have sensitive nipples.
Hi, it's me.
So, like, what the fuck does that have to do? And what does that have to do with your kink being inherited? No, you inherited sensitive nipples.
Yeah. And what
You
you do
didn't
with
inherit the kink. It gave absolutely zero research about
well, there's no actual
it was correlation.
there's no actual I mean, you're just playing guessing games. Like they said, they used examples of those who are now into BDSM when they were kids like to be tied up during cops and robbers.
Okay, that's more like giving the what is it, the psychological thing, like, all right, now how did this make you feel when you were a child? It's more along the lines of, what is it, nature versus nurture?
Yeah.
It's all nurture. I know exactly where my medical fetish came from. I remember the day that it happened.
And for me, I could kind of, if I look back, there's certain things that I see that now I like the fact that things that I did, like running 5 miles despite it hurting, but I enjoyed it and all of that. So I can kind of understand, oh, even back then I was into this.
Mm-hmm.
But to say that because I did A, that's why I now like to do B, it makes no sense.
Correlation does not mean causation.
And because we evolve, like, right? I very much, when I first got into the lifestyle, really very much wanted a daddy dom because I was in a really low period of time in my life and I was struggling and I wanted somebody to take care of me. And then as I got healthier and things got better, I didn't need that anymore. And so I wasn't into that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I changed. So it's like, so how do you then go, oh, well, you got that from this and you got that? It's just ridiculous. I grew up in a household that would be very much like a 1950s household where dad was in charge and mom served and did for dad. Okay. I'm a female dominant. So how did I get that from my parents?
I double dog dare you to ask your mother if she has any kinks.
I know she doesn't because just of her reaction. The same thing with my sister, I know for a fact doesn't because she and I have actually discussed it. But I very much have learned things about my parents that make me think, as I said, the more I learn about their marriage, the more it's very obviously a 1950s marriage without anybody naming it as a kink.
Yeah, but that's more
They can
trad
also
wife.
be right. They're very trad wife. And as I said, the fact that I am the exact opposite, how can you then say that I got my kinks from them?
Well, maybe it was your grandmother.
Yeah, no. Grandma Zelda was not kinky.
So I have a cousin who's kinky, and actually she was in the server for a while. But we have another cousin who we think is kinky, but we're not really entirely sure. And then the cousin that I'm actually closest to is, I guess we'll call her kinky adjacent. She likes hearing about it and is very interested, but she won't do it. Like the last time I went and hung out with her was at when I was doing Exotica Chicago, and she wanted me to do some electro on her and her husband. So I unpacked everything, laid it all out on the floor one night, and zapped them a little bit. And my God, was she jumpy and giggly about it. But she was like, nope, nope, no, never mind, no. But she likes hearing about it.
Yeah. I know we all would like to know why we are the way we are. I just don't think you can look at our parents and say
I think
that's
that's
the reason.
a load of horse shit.
Because if that was the case, explain to me why I'm kinky and my sister, who grew up in the exact same household that I did, is as vanilla can be. Like, I'm not even allowed to discuss kink with her because it icks her out.
Well, let's face it, you're kink sick a lot of people out, me
Okay, I'm not
included.
going to talk to her about blood play. Come on. Even I recognize that that's just way too much. That's PhD level for somebody who's still in preschool.
Wow.
But I can't even
Rude.
But I can't even talk to her about like spanky spanky. Like how kinky is spanky spanky?
Not,
Exactly.
in my opinion.
And that's from somebody who doesn't even like it. Well, receiving.
I mean, Daddy J does it every once in a while, and I'm like, ooh.
Those are love taps. That's not a
Yeah.
spanky spanky. That's a
Well,
love tap.
He did just purchase some brand new wooden spoons.
I was going to say, I've seen him so-called spank you.
Don't tell him that. No, seriously, don't tell him that.
I've hit myself harder walking into the door frame.
Well, so have I, and I've got the bruises to prove it, but still, don't tell him that.
All right. So one final one, just because it kind of ties into the earlier one. This was about a man in the UK who was found guilty of choking a woman in a BDSM relationship, but he was not guilty of choking the second woman. And basically what they're saying is that this wasn't even a case of BDSM gone wrong. This was not an accident. That while the two of them did have a BDSM relationship, and I think she admitted it also, he allegedly, got to use that word because I can't be sued, I have no money. He allegedly deliberately and intentionally strangled the woman until they passed out, even though they had been told not to.
Yeah, that's assault. We've already said that.
Right. And now the defense tried to say, no, this was just a case of BDSM that went sideways. And now that we've broken up, this woman wanted revenge. And now that she's coming after me, or the relationship didn't go the way she wanted, whatever. The problem with this shit, folks, is this is what hurts the rest of us. Because this gets in the news, right? I could just imagine the news that night where they talk about Wellington man found guilty of choking woman in BDSM relationship. And I'm like, and this is why those of us who do and harp about consensual BDSM acts get shit on because of these fucknuts who ruin it for the rest of us. And I just, frustrating.
It is. It's incredibly frustrating. Like, that was so clearly, like, it actually said that he intentionally, like, what was the second one? He leaned on her, like they were having sex and he leaned on her windpipe.
Yeah.
Until she passed out and fell off the bed. And then when she woke up, he started having sex with her again.
Oh, and I have to make a small correction. This wasn't the UK. This was New Zealand. I got confused in my Americanese because the article said according to the Crown. So I thought it was UK, but it's New Zealand.
Oh, I forgot yeah. But anyway, yeah, no, fucknut is right.
So,
I hope he loses his fucknuts.
Yeah, well, let him be somebody's bitch in prison. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
So that is the end of this lovely episode. It's always fun to see how they're portraying kink in the news. My Google alerts get very interesting. It's just most of it is not even worth talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But these were a couple of articles. If you ever do come across an article when it pertains to kink, send it our way, please, and we'll happy to discuss it. Meanwhile, keep an eye out for our In the Junk Drawer episode.
That's not even going to be recorded for like a month, but yeah. But Dungeon Junk?
Ooh, I'll have to see what we'll come up with a cute name.
Yeah, that was not cute. It was funny, but it wasn't cute.
It'll be fine. It'll be just
all right.
Fine.
We'll figure it out.
Always. Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a minute of our fun and educational content. New episodes drop every Friday.
If you love what we do and want to show support, there are several ways. Join us on Patreon at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast. You can support our affiliates or help spread the word about our kinky podcast to your friends.
Don't forget to rate and review Pink Kink on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Those 5-star reviews go a long way in boosting our podcast through the algorithm and reaching more listeners.
Sign up for our Pink Kink Institute classes. Shop at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique. Stay connected with us on social media. You'll find all the links on our Linktree posted in the show notes.
Your support means the world to us. So until next time, stay pretty, stay safe,
and stay twisted.